Hi everyone, welcome to On the Other Hand. I'm Ariane Zurcher, and this video I am preparing for my 6th sphere of the Suspended World series. It's a series of 7, so I'm almost at the end. And I'm in the video I'm talking about what I'm thinking and how I'm conceiving of the 6th sphere in this sort of trajectory of spheres and where this one falls and how the thoughts that I have about it and how that translates then to materials and colors and textures and other things that I intend to incorporate into it. So it's really just the beginning of a process. And the interesting thing about working in a series is that, particularly in this series where it's kind of going in a chronological order. And even though it's sort of a meandering path, there is a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so to express that in this, in a kind of sculptural series has been really interesting. You know, I walk every day, and as I continue to get my strength back, I'm able to walk longer and longer distances. And so I'll show you some of the things that I'm finding on the way and things that I'm bringing back home that I'm going to then incorporate and into this sphere and specifically, but also just walking as a way to just kind of clear my head and clear my thoughts and gain a different perspective. So I've got some of those clips cut in here as well. I'll turn you around and we can get started. Look what I found on my walk this morning with my husband. This is actually paint that was hanging off of a beam, practically detached, and I just pulled it a little and it came right off. Old rusty screw. And this is a rock, but it's got other stuff on it, which is really cool. And then I have this, which is just a piece of kind of rope, but it feels plastic, or I'm not sure what it is. And then this, which I believe is bone. I'm not actually sure what it is, but it's African. Not sure how I'm going to deal with this. It's pretty delicate, but you can see it's layers of paint. I don't want to manipulate it too much, but I'm pleased. So one of the things that I do when I'm starting a new sphere is I think about it. I think about the materials I want to use. I think about the meaning of it. I think about colors. So I have this material. It's from an Australian company called Aura Fibers. I don't know if it's still called that. I know she was selling it to somebody. This is what it's called. So it's silk and stainless steel. And I have it in all these colors. So what I'm doing is I'm experimenting by knitting it on a number, what is this, a 0 needle. It's thread, it's very thin. And I want to see if I can get like a swatch, how it holds. Does it hold its shape? Can I manipulate it? Can I move it? So this sphere is going to be, the working title right now is A Life Worth Living. And the idea is that this is the sphere that will represent moving on. So living an imperfect life, but a life that is one that is of my choosing. It's not just a response to circumstances, history, childhood, whatever. It's very much a decision to live a life worthwhile. These things I love these colors, and I'm thinking mirrors for self-reflection, because a life worth living involves reflection. So I'm thinking of incorporating mirrors into this piece. I want to incorporate rusty metal because it's a reminder of age, and damage and also the beauty in deterioration and aging. I want to incorporate things like stone, the hardness, durability. It can go through a tremendous amount and it will retain its shape for the most part. Erosion, but it's a solid, hard surface. I want to do driftwood and twigs and sea glass, representing the natural erosion and transformation of ideas, hardened ideas that are then softened. The edges are softened with time. And so these are the kinds of things that I'm thinking about. I come up with a working title, and then I start to develop an idea. This sphere I want to be somewhat in keeping with the third sphere, which is, instead of being blown open, that this will have a more intentional opening at the top. And I want things growing out of it, growing out from the center, from the inside. So that's both healing and also intentional. I'd love to find some rusty barbed wire. I haven't, but maybe I can find branches and twigs that have thorns or something like that to represent the difficulties that one inevitably faces as you're living your life. I'm on Lexington Avenue, and this area, when I first moved to New York, was filled with little Indian grocers, and now there aren't so many. New Foods of India is where I'm gonna go. I haven't been to this one yet, but I like this place. So this is what I got: black mustard seed, and then this, which is something that when I lived in London, I used to get it. It was different looking, but this is the closer one. So, of course, I'm not going to be able to eat that because it's too spicy and I'm not feeling well still. But maybe I'll just have a tiny taste. I shouldn't, but you know. Okay, here we are, Kapil.
Hello.
And look at this craziness, right? So this is all the different items. And all the pot, and that's a spinach paneer, because now it's turning into like 13 people, maybe more. Who knows? If my son stays for dinner, it'll be 15. I believe I knit right-handed. I don't know, but I think I do. I was taught by my mother, who's right-handed, and I can't imagine that she tried to teach me left-handed. She wouldn't have been able to do that. I'm doing just a straight knit. I'm not purling on one side. I don't want there to be a right and a wrong side. So I'm just going to knit every row and see where that takes me. I probably could have done this on a larger needle so it would go a little bit faster, but it is what it is. Yeah, so I'm thinking colors. I want there to be greens and blues and this kind of earth tone. I want this to feel grounded, but I also want it to feel serene. And I think I'm going to keep this not monochromatic, certainly, but less inundated with color, that there's not going to be just this wild burst of color like the last two spheres have been very colorful. And I think this one, I'm going to try to keep it to earth tones, lots of blues and greens and browns. And I don't have a specific idea of what's going to grow out of it, what's sort of bursting forth, but maybe that will have color to it. You know, what comes from the inside will be like the whole outer sphere. Perhaps will have these more earth tones, these sort of the blues, the greens, the browns, and then maybe what comes from within that sort of bursts out from the center and up through the opening at the top. Maybe that will have more color to it. I don't know. I'll see more as I progress with this. Right now, I'm really playing with the materials and seeing what happens. And then I'll start creating the sphere with the wire. And then once I have that, then I can start playing around with how I'm going to cover it. Another thing that I'm thinking about is that this sphere will have sound. So I've bought some wind chimes that I'm thinking I'll put on the inside. You won't see them. I could also hang them from the bottom so they are very visible. I don't know. I'll have a better idea once I see what I'm up against and kind of go from there. And but I'm thinking this one there'll be sound to it. I don't want to do lights again because I just did the fairy lights on the last one, but sound could be interesting. I also thought of those, I couldn't figure out how to do them, would be those rainmakers, that sound, but in order for them to sound like rain, you have to turn them up back and forth, and I don't know how that would work. I think that's more than I'm able to engineer at this point. It's a cool thought, though, for something else down the road, maybe. It's got like this sort of mesh feel to it, and I actually like that it's not too gappy, but I can't tell yet whether I can manipulate it, if the metal actually will allow me to, crush it and have it hold shape. I don't think so. I think I'd probably have to knit it much denser for that. So in any case, that's kind of where I'm at this point. Okay, early morning walk. My husband. Hi, honey. We're walking, doing a little early morning walk before it gets too hot. Richard just got new glasses that are like transitional, so they're reading if you look down and then straight ahead. They're supposed to be fine, and they're making him dizzy. We've decided this is a young man's game, not for the elderly.
They have to be for the elderly because that's the only people who need them, and yet
no.
Yeah.
We're missing something. I don't know.
Not this elderly person.
Exactly. Also, I object to these of elderly. We're not that old. Well, I'm not. See something like this, and if there's like pieces that have fallen on the ground, I can take them, or even grab this piece, and see if I can use this. So we're back home, but here's my haul. Different barks, and I found this. And then look at what these guys gave me. See that bucket? I went by a building site, and yesterday on my way to visit a friend's studio, her art studio, I asked if they had any rusty metal and wire. Look at how great this is. They put together this whole bucket for me and gave me the bucket to carry it in. But below this is a bag, and it's filled with nails. It's just filled. It's got to weigh like 25, 30 pounds. So I hauled that in the 90-degree heat home, and I'm just thrilled. So excited. So I have some sea glass here. I've got my mirrors, and I've got my little bells that I might hang inside. That's the thought, is to hang them in the inside of the sphere. And it's funny, you know, because I did knitting for so long. As many of you know, I had a page in Elle magazine. It was the do-it-yourself hand knit page. So I sort of feel like I'm coming full circle. But what I'm doing here is I am trying to knit. I wanted a hole in it, so I've done that. And I'm just gonna knit a bit more now that I've closed the hole up, so I get, you know, another couple inches on the outside, and then I'll just stop and see, because I don't even know what I'm using this for. It's just really gathering of materials at this point to kind of see what I think, and how I like it, and I think then after I knit a bit more on this, I will begin to create the sphere, and keeping in mind that I'm going to have the whole top open. I'm envisioning it a little more not irregular. The way the what remains is, it's sort of these jagged peaks, and with this one it will look very much like it was supposed to have this kind of opening in the top. That's my thinking, and that's where I will hang those wind chimes, and also from the bottom somehow have things growing up and out. I'm thinking I'm going to have to use metal wire, you know, the galvanized wire. So I haven't really figured the mechanics of that. Okay, so this is what this looks like. It's got a fairly large hole in the center with smaller holes around the around here. I just wanted it to be a little rugged. I didn't want it to look specifically so. I didn't want it to look like a perfect circle. It's more of an oval, I think. It's supposed to be more of an oval. I think it is. But yeah, so as you can see from the video that I did shoot, I only did one tiny little bit about this dinner party that I gave, and my friend Kapil, who came and cooked, and now he's off to halfway around the world, where he will be for the next couple years. And it was a really lovely, lovely dinner party, and the food was amazing. And I completely forgot to just photograph any of it. I mean, I didn't photograph the dinner table or any of the food after it had been prepared, or my icebox cake, which was amazing. I mean, it was so good. There was a sliver left at the end, and it was a big hit, and I completely forgot. So there it is, but you can just trust me. The last thing I wanted to say was, someone asked me about my hair and also lipstick. So I don't wear. So I just thought I'd end with this. I know it's completely off topic, but I have found this product that I'm kind of in love with, and it's called Prose, and I'm going to put the link below in the description so that if you want to check it out, you can. You answer a bunch of questions, and they kind of tailor make it to you specifically in your style of hair. And since my hair is sort of like wavy but straight in part, it's like all over the map, and it can look really I love this product. So there's that. And then I don't wear lipstick. I do a lip liner. And I'll put the link to that as well. There are a couple different kinds that I use, but the one I like best is Chanel. It just looks sort of more natural. So that's that. And thank you so much for watching as I continue on this series of the Suspended Worlds. Until next time, let's keep creating.